Is it just the weed? Is it
Yeah.
like in your purse or something?
It's like it's like a smaller pack.
Yo, literally just not even 2 weeks ago, on July 22nd, and just recently, GloRilla just got sent again behind bars after getting hit with felony drug charges. But now, leaked jail footage just hit the internet, and it's wild. She's pacing, mouthing words, and clearly not holding back. But here's the twist. The footage wasn't supposed to exist. Something's off, and fans are digging deep, and I got all the details. Let's get into it. Chapter 1, GloRilla Locked Up. The footage of GloRilla in jail hit the internet fast, and it's got everyone talking. While most of the internet is stuck admiring her flawless mugshot, the real story behind her July 2025 arrest is sparking serious outrage in the hip-hop community. Because this isn't just a routine arrest, this is a victim being flipped into a suspect, and it all starts with a burglary that should have never led to handcuffs. So here's the setup. It's the early morning hours of July 20th, around 1:30 a.m. 3 intruders break into GloRilla's home in the St. Marlowe subdivision of Forsyth County, Georgia. But here's the twist. Glo wasn't even home. She was in Indianapolis performing at the WNBA All-Star Game halftime show, turning up the crowd and lighting up the court. Meanwhile, back at her house, it was chaos. A family member inside the home fired warning shots to scare off the intruders. The suspects took off after grabbing some jewelry. No one got hurt, but the damage was done. Now this is where everything flips. Police show up after the incident, supposedly to investigate the break-in. When police showed up to Glo's spot after the break-in, they were supposed to be looking for evidence of the intruders. Fingerprints, maybe some dropped items, surveillance footage, actual police work. But something in that house caught their attention more than finding the real criminals. They claimed they smelled marijuana, and that was all the probable cause they needed to flip the whole script. A judge signed off on a search warrant, and suddenly them cops was tearing through Glo's personal space like they was the ones robbing the place. What they allegedly found in her bedroom closet became the headline, over an ounce of marijuana, and what they classified as a Schedule I controlled substance. Now let's talk about what Schedule I means for the folks in the back. We talking about the same category as heroin, LSD, ecstasy, the heavy stuff that the feds don't play about. But here's what's crazy. Glo wasn't even there when all this went down. She was in Indianapolis performing for thousands at the WNBA All-Star Game halftime show. There's literally footage of her on stage while her house was getting hit. The alibi don't get more solid than that. When she got word about what happened, Big Glo did something that showed she had nothing to hide. She voluntarily turned herself in on July 22nd. No running, no dodging, no trying to lawyer up and fight it from the shadows. She walked into that police station with her head high, probably thinking this misunderstanding would get cleared up quick. The system had other plans. That $20,260 bond might have been pocket change for somebody of her status, but the principle hit different. She posted and walked the same day, but the damage was already done. The mugshot was circulating. The headlines was written. GloRilla arrested on felony drug charges was trending before she even made it back to her car. What the headlines didn't say was that the 3 people who actually committed a crime, breaking and entering, theft, probably possession of stolen property, was still free. They wasn't posting bond because they wasn't even caught. The resources that went into searching GloRilla's closet could have been used to actually solve the crime she reported. Glo didn't stay silent. She hit Twitter with the truth and laid it out in plain language. My house got home invaded Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star Game. And instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focused on some cannabis. She made it clear this wasn't a bust. This was a robbery, and she was the victim. So no, I wasn't busted. My house got robbed. I wasn't home. Long story short, my house gets home invaded and I'm the only one that gets arrested. That one post blew up instantly. Over 60,000 likes. Thousands of reposts. Fans were furious. The sentiment across social media was clear. How does a robbery lead to the victim being arrested while the burglars vanish without a trace? Check this out. One fan posted, she was literally the victim of a crime, yet she was arrested and her assailants are out in the wind still. That joint got 19,000 likes real quick. Another fan tweeted, she was the victim of a crime, yet she's the one arrested. Make it make sense. People wasn't just mad, they was connecting dots. The timing of the burglary made everything worse. Glo was out of town working, representing her city, performing live, bringing Memphis culture to the big stage. While she's making headlines for turning up crowds, her home is being robbed, and somehow she's the one treated like a criminal. The system flipped the whole story, and people noticed. What's wild is that local news initially reported it as a straight drug bust. Fox 5. Atlanta's first headline read, Rapper GloRilla arrested on drug charges. No mention of the burglary until paragraph 3. It wasn't until her tweet went viral that outlets started updating their stories to include the full context. The damage was already done though. First impressions stick. Chapter 2. GloRilla's history with law. To understand how GloRilla ended up in this position, you gotta understand her history with Georgia law enforcement. This wasn't her first time dealing with the boys in blue, and her past was being used against her in the court of public opinion. The April 2024 DUI stop in Gwinnett County was getting replayed like a greatest hits album nobody asked for. That traffic stop was a whole movie. Pulled over for an illegal U-turn, but it escalated quick when they found an open container and smelled alcohol. The breathalyzer didn't lie. She was over the limit. But what really made that stop go viral was when she asked the officer, "Do you know who I am?"
Do you know who I am?
No, I don't. No, ma'am.
It became a meme, a punchline, proof to some that fame had gone to her head. But real talk, she was probably just trying to explain why she had security following her, why the situation might look different than your average traffic stop. The body cam footage from that DUI stop showed the whole thing. The officer asked her, "Ma'am, have you been drinking tonight?" And Glo responded, "I had a little something at the club, but I'm good." When they brought out the breathalyzer, she said, "Come on now, do you know who I am? I'm GloRilla. I just performed downtown." The officer hit her with, "That doesn't change anything, ma'am."
That doesn't change anything.
That exchange got clipped and shared millions of times. She handled that case though, paid her fines, did her classes, kept it pushing. The music didn't stop, the fans didn't leave, and she took her L with grace. But the internet don't forget. And when this new arrest hit, all them old videos resurfaced like zombies. People was comparing mugshots, analyzing her pattern of behavior, acting like they was profilers on Criminal Minds. Then there was that weird serial theft rumor that she had to shut down publicly. Remember that? The claim that GloRilla served 3 years in prison for stealing cereal from Kmart? Yeah, that all came from a Funny Marco interview where she joked about it, but some people actually believed it. The Funny Marco clip went like this. He asked her, "What's the wildest thing you ever stole?" And she said, laughing, "Man, I went to jail for stealing some cereal from Kmart, did 3 years. Marco was dying laughing, clearly getting the joke. But when that clip hit social media without context, blogs ran with it. Headlines talking about GloRilla's criminal past exposed had her heated. She had to address it on live. "Y'all really got me out here defending myself against cereal theft allegations. That was a joke on Funny Marco. Y'all believe anything. I never stole no damn cereal." Even though she laughed it off, it showed how any rumor could stick when you already got a target on your back. But here's what's wild. None of her previous encounters with law enforcement involved being a victim first. The DUI was her actions, her choices, her consequences. This situation was fundamentally different. She was the one who got robbed. She was the one who called for help. She was the one performing out of state when the crime occurred. Yet somehow she was the only one in handcuffs. Chapter 3, Controversy Queen. Before any of the headlines, there was just Gloria Hallelujah Woods, born July 28, 1999, raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Her story started in the church choir, where she built the voice and presence that would eventually dominate rap stages. When she lost her singing voice due to illness at 16, she didn't fold, she switched lanes to rap. Her first projects, most likely Up Next in 2019 and P Status in 2020, helped her gain underground momentum. But it was F&F, Let's Go, in 2022 that changed her life. That banger led to her CMG deal with Yo Gotti in July 2022. After that, the hits kept coming. The Cardi B collab, Tomorrow 2, went double platinum. Anyways, Life's Great charted heavy. And her debut album, Glorious, peaked at number 5 on Billboard in 2024, breaking first-week sales records for a female rapper that year. During the years, one of the weirdest controversies she had to deal with was people accusing her of being a catfish. That's right, a few makeup-free pictures started floating around and suddenly the blogs was dragging her like she had been hiding something. TikToks went viral saying, "GloRilla without makeup ain't even the same person." But fans who really rock with her clapped back fast. She's human, not a CGI character. It sparked a bigger convo about beauty standards, how women in the spotlight get roasted for daring to have pores. Glo clowned back with a live saying, "Damn, y'all mad cause I wash my face?" Back in 2024, one of her tracks had a lyric that rubbed people the wrong way. Accusations of ableism flooded her comments. At first, she doubled down like y'all doing too much, but then she took the mature route. She updated the track, released a clean version without the offending bar, and said she'd do better. Some fans said she folded to cancel culture. Others said she showed growth. Either way, she kept it moving. Another moment that stirred major conversation. GloRilla's gospel win. Her song Rain Down on Me, featuring Kirk Franklin, won the Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel Inspirational Award at the 2025 BET Awards. But the win sparked outrage from parts of the traditional gospel world. Gospel artist Dietrich Haddon called the win disappointing and pushed for a gospel music overhaul, saying it blurred lines between sacred and secular. Some fans defended her, arguing she's blending cultures, not disrespecting them. Then there was the whole Tory Lanez versus Megan Thee Stallion fallout. Glo found herself in hot water when she posted a story bumping a Tory track at the peak of the Megan trial. Megan unfollowed her immediately, then refollowed a few days later, but the damage was done. Twitter went off, accusing Glo of betrayal. She didn't say much at the time, but sources close to her said she wasn't trying to pick sides. She just liked the song. Still, that one post shifted a lot of public opinion. People who once praised her loyalty started calling her fake. Even before the arrest, Glo had been dealing with fallout from her inner circle. One of her former friends went live talking wild, exposing personal business, accusing Glo of switching up after getting famous. The story made the Shade Room in under an hour. Chapter 4, The Color of Justice. Let's keep it 100. If GloRilla was Gloria from the suburbs with a different complexion, this story probably wouldn't have played out the same. This question was everywhere. The intersection of race, gender, and hip-hop created a perfect storm of prejudice that turned a home invasion into a drug bust. For Glo's fans, the way the media covered GloRilla's arrest compared to similar situations with others told its own story. That actress from that Netflix show got caught with coke, and CNN called it a personal struggle and said she was seeking treatment. But when GloRilla got arrested for weed that was found after her house got robbed, the headlines screamed felony drug charges. The difference was glaring. The gender aspect hit different too. People were saying that this is proof that Black women in hip-hop face a special kind of scrutiny. They're expected to be hard enough to survive the industry, but soft enough to be respectable, strong enough to handle criticism, but weak enough to need protection. The contradictions create an impossible standard. And when someone like GloRilla shows any vulnerability, like calling the police for help, it gets used against them. However, through all the noise, her music kept speaking louder. Yeah, Glo cracked Billboard Hot 100 again, and Back Row with Lil Durk started catching fire months after its quiet release. The sleeper hit had people quoting her bars like scripture. TikToks were flooded with the line about not fearing court but fearing God. Even critics who once brushed her off started calling her one of the most consistent voices in modern rap. After the arrest, #FreeGlo wasn't just a hashtag. It became a full-blown campaign. T-shirts started circulating with her mugshot and bold slogans. Fans organized a digital blackout, flooding record label pages and news outlet comments with support. A group of women in Memphis even launched a petition demanding police accountability. 10,000 signatures in the first weekend. Glo reposted it on her story and acknowledged the support. The next part got the blogs buzzing. Rumors flew that GloRilla's label might be distancing themselves. After the arrest, a few insiders said CMG had gone quiet. Some claimed Gotti wasn't responding to her calls. Others said he was staying low while the case played out. The speculation grew, especially with another female rapper suddenly getting more promo. Nothing was confirmed, but it fueled that narrative that labels dip when the pressure's on. What really stood out during all this was the divide in her own fan base. Some fans were loyal, flooding Twitter with support and calling out the injustice. Others started questioning her, wondering if she was really as innocent as she claimed. Industry folks picked sides too. Some unfollowed her, others stood firm in support. It showed how shaky loyalty gets when your name's in the headlines for the wrong reasons. Despite everything, Memphis stood strong behind her. Murals popped up in South Memphis with her mugshot tagged alongside tributes. Radio DJs played her music nonstop and called it Solidarity Saturday. Local artists threw a free Glo showcase and packed the venue. A fan at the event said she put Memphis on and the city wasn't turning its back. That hometown love gave her strength. GloRilla's legal team didn't hold back. Attorneys Drew Finding and Marissa Goldberg issued a statement condemning the arrest, calling it a disturbing example of twisted law enforcement priorities. Instead of focusing on the violent break-in, authorities went after weed in a state where it's still illegal recreationally. Fans felt validated hearing someone with legal clout echoing their frustration. Chapter 5. Her crippling fame. What made the arrest hit harder for fans was the timing. Just months before, she started a public shift, moving from the party girl image into something deeper, more spiritual. People said she announced a celibacy journey online, talked live to tens of thousands about focusing on herself and her faith. The reaction went viral. Some supported her, some joked, but she stayed firm. Her celibacy announcement had sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. During an Instagram live with over 50,000 viewers, She explained that she was doing it for herself and for her relationship with God. Support from the gospel world pushed it farther. Big names in Christian music were commenting on her spiritual path, saying they were proud that the grind wasn't easy but worth it. She reposted their messages with gratitude, and that gave more weight to how real her change felt. Everywhere you looked, her content switched up. Her feed went from twerking clips to Bible verses. She shared a scripture right before the arrest. Her stories showed Bible study sessions, volunteering at food banks, church Sundays. Multiple people confirmed this evolution was genuine, not just for social media likes. She also launched the Tomorrow Ain't Promised Foundation in Memphis, targeting single moms struggling to get ahead. At the event, people were emotional hearing her talk about how her mama raised her working 3 jobs and how she wanted to give back. Local news covered it, and she pledged major donations, hundreds of thousands, plus artists matching it. But the system didn't care about her evolution. Fans pointed out that seeing her pacing in that jail cell after all that spiritual growth just stung more. A close friend posted that people don't know how much sis been changing. Nobody reported her morning Bible reading habit and prayers. Then this arrest happened, and that post got shared like crazy. Chapter 6, Beef, Battles, and Noise. The rap game remembers everything, and when GloRilla got arrested, all her old drama resurfaced. The industry thrives off beef, and her name had been in enough of it to fill a whole season. Her beef with JT from City Girls was one of the biggest. It started as shade and ended in chaos. JT tweeted a diss after GloRilla's BET performance. Glo clapped back and it spiraled from there. Things escalated when they crossed paths at a Fashion Week party. Witnesses said words were exchanged, security had to step in, and both crews were separated. Later that night, JT addressed it on live, claiming she wasn't with the fake tough stuff and would confront anyone directly. Glo responded with her own live, calling her bluff and saying JT didn't even make eye contact. But when Glo got arrested, JT stayed silent. No tweets, no shade. That silence spoke volumes. Even the Barb's fan base wasn't cheering. One popular fan account admitted they didn't mess with GloRilla, but felt this situation was messed up, calling the system the real enemy. When even your haters show empathy, you know it's deeper than music. Then there was the relationship drama. GloRilla and Duke Dennis had been spotted out a few times, then unfollowed each other. On stream, Duke said they were just friends and fans were overreacting. But when asked about her arrest, he admitted it was messed up and that she didn't deserve it. Blogs ran wild speculating about her love life. When she was seen with Finesse 2 times at a Memphis show, media outlets jumped to conclusions. She fired back online saying she couldn't even take a picture without people starting rumors. She linked her celibacy to that exact frustration. Chapter 7, Lost Justice. Once legal teams dove in, the broader picture became obvious. This wasn't about weed. It was about a system punishing a victim. Activists in Memphis and Atlanta tied this to bigger patterns, calling police and getting criminalized instead of protected. Popular posts and videos with millions of views broke it down. People shared stories of calling cops and catching old warrants or charges they didn't expect. Protesters showed up at City Hall with signs insisting she's the victim, not a criminal. Legal experts weighed in too, talking about constitutional issues. They said the smell of cannabis shouldn't automatically turn someone who called 911 into a suspect. Some lawyers publicly challenged whether the same scrutiny would happen if police found drugs in the burglars' homes. Attorneys also pointed out the leaked jail footage could be a lawsuit. Privacy violation lawsuits were mentioned, calling out whoever tipped that video. And mental health professionals said this experience compounds trauma, calling for help and getting punished. That stays with you even if the case gets dropped. Even other artists weighed in. On podcasts and social media, people argued the system shouldn't force you to choose between protecting yourself and staying free. They treated this case like a wake-up call, saying it ain't about one rapper, it's about how a system is rigged. Meanwhile, 3 months later, those burglars are still roaming free. No updates, no arrests. Yet GloRilla's case got processed fast as lightning. Insiders reportedly confirmed that once the drug charges got filed, everything else took the back seat. The more this story unfolds, court dates looming, lawyers prepping, the more that leaked footage has shifted from an embarrassment to a symbol. Something meant to shame her ended up sparking conversation. The most powerful footage? Sometimes it's the stuff that wasn't supposed to get out, revealing truths that people assumed they couldn't see. All right, that's the whole breakdown right there. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Only the real gon' feel this. Smash that like, drop a comment, and slide back for the next one. Peace.